Hey, I wanted to show you my travel sketches from my recent 1 week trip to South Georgia. I used my sketchbook that I started 1 year ago in July of this year. I filled it all up, and this vacation I was able to completely get to the end of it. So this is where my vacation started. I will show at the end of this, I will show you my supplies that I used. But I stopped halfway to Virginia. My first stop was in Virginia, and I stopped in Charleston, West Virginia, and drew their capital. I've always admired their gold dome, and I always wanted to sketch it. So I pulled in the parking lot in front of it and got my sketchbook, and I sat in my car and I sketched that. It's a very quick sketch, and I used my gold watercolor, metallic watercolor in that in Charleston. I picked up my dad. He's turning 90. He turned at 90 on this vacation. I gave him a ride all from Virginia to St. Mary's, Georgia, and he rode in beside me. We listened to Around the World in 80 Days, and we were in my little yellow Kia, as you can see here, and I started using my brown document ink. It's water resistant, and so I could put watercolor right on top of it. So you can see in his little plaid shirt that if it was raining, had little raindrops in the window. This is just a little list I did here of all the things we did throughout the week with my brown document ink. I had just gotten it. It's in a fountain pen, and I wanted to practice it, so I used it there. This is the foyer of the place we were staying. It had a really beautiful mural that I wanted to paint. And a beautiful chandelier, and I used my gold watercolor as well on that, and it turned out so pretty. The sky got dark outside while I was drawing. It went from day to night, and it turned really blue outside as it got to evening. This is right here is the historic churches in St. Mary's. We actually went to this church. These were all built in the early 1800s, and they're all within a block of each other, and I drove around and parked in front of them to see the colors and the different steeples and stuff. They all basically have the similar architecture, but I enjoyed doing that on Sunday. This is a figurehead that my uncle had hanging in the foyer from a ship, and it is redheaded. And I wondered if he picked this one after my aunt, who is also a redhead. So I sketched that and noticed all the beautiful things on her head. It's really pretty. This was at the church that we went to. We actually attended services at the First Presbyterian Church, and it is the longest meeting church in Georgia. It's been meeting for 250 years consecutively every Sunday. And so we went in there and sat behind the guy that ran the elevator. There's so many steps in the front, they have an elevator for senior citizens. And my dad, here's his little cane, and he rode up in the elevator. We rented bicycles, and this is my bicycle from Camden Bike Rentals in St. Mary's. I parked it in front of the marshes to get this photo of it that I drew this from. All these sailboats out in the marsh were there the whole time. They never moved. They were just anchored out there. And this is called Golden Isles. It looks really golden when the sun is shining on. I always went out early in the morning to take my bike rides because it was so hot. We had to get out there at sunrise when it was the coolest part of the day to do any kind of outdoor activities. We went to Crooked River State Park and the Nature Center, and there was a really knowledgeable man there who told us all about the turtles and all the interesting things about marsh turtles. They had them in several different aquariums. This was a little box turtle that I took a photo of. He was the cutest little thing, and they have Aztec markings on them. It's beautiful. They have more protein in them. Turtle meat has more protein than eating a whole chicken and 18 eggs or something like that. They're very rich in protein. They're beautiful turtles, and they had really cute personalities. We had a little party where we all painted ships. My dad's Navy ship. There was 15 of us. I taught 15 people how to draw ships, and they turned out really cute. Then I was done with that one, and then I moved on to this sketchbook, and I got 2 done in this sketchbook on this vacation. We went to the beach, Fernandina Beach, and this is my granddaughter throwing rocks into the waves. That's watercolor, Amelia Island, and she had a little superhero swimsuit on. She loved the waves. And then I did this for the beach scene. Everyone is huddled underneath their umbrellas in the shade. I have a couple little sailboats out here, and there was a couple walking down the beach. So I did that. So those, I managed to get 10 sketches done. I had bought new document inks, and this is what document inks look like. And I had these I got these from Goulet Pen Company. I got the whole sample pack, and they had all these different colors of document inks. I mainly used the brown, but I filled my fountain. I got conversion fountain pens and filled my fountain pens with these document inks. And they're document, that means they're waterproof, and I could put watercolor on top of my ink. I also use these gold metallic watercolors. I filled up, these were my fountain pens. I bought all these new, and I colored them whatever color the ink was inside on the tip with my acrylic paints. But this had brown ink, and then I had green ink in one, and I used those. And I also got these preppy pens, which are very cheap fountain pens from Amazon. They are not water soluble. I practiced ahead of time. This is all my document inks, and they did great. I went over top of them with water to test them. This is my preppy pens. They do blur out when you use watercolor on top. So I had to do that last. If I was going to use a preppy pen when I had all these different colors, I had to do it last after I had put down the watercolor. But that was no problem. So I enjoyed using fountain pens on this trip. Thanks for listening, and fill up your sketchbook.